I'm going to call this meeting to order. I'll stand for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have a delegation? We don't have any delegations at this time, so we are going to move on to a presentation from Mon County 4-H. Becca Clark is here to present.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us tonight. So happy National 4-H Week. This is National 4-H Week. Just getting the clubs started back up after a busy summer. So we always try to come and let you know kind of what's been going on with 4-H, and most importantly, to show our appreciation for all that you do for us. I mean, we really have great support from our Board of Education here in Monongalia County, and I certainly appreciate that. We've come a long way. I will be celebrating 17 years in this position in February, so time sure does fly, and I think the program has improved just because of all the things that we've added, and most of that is because of the school programming that we've done. So Heather's here too, Heather Tanton, she's our 4-H program assistant. I'm Becca Clark, I'm the 4-H agent here in the county, and so I just wanted to share a few things. I gave you a report with some really great pictures so you can kind of see what we've been into. Our 4-H year runs October 1st through September 30th. So we just started back up with our 4-H enrollment. So every year 4-H youth in the county sign up to be 4-H members. Last 4-H year, we had 5,260 youth that were non-4-H members participate in a 4-H event or activity that we led. We had 340 members last year that were involved in 4-H and 4-H clubs. And this year, even just with a week that we've been going, we have 160 members already enrolled. So we are on track to have a great year of 4-H membership. Of course, a lot of people think of 4-H camp, and that's one of our best things I think that we do for youth. And so we had 302 campers. We added a 4th county camp here in Monongalia County. No other counties have 4 camps. So that one was put at Mason-Dixon Park. The other 3 camps are held at Camp Muffley. And Maria's going to tell you, I'm going to introduce Maria here in a minute, a little bit about her camping experience and her 4-H involvement. So thank you again. No other county is so supportive, I believe, of us going into the schools, the activities that we lead. We go to every elementary school. We reach practically every youth in the county through our school enrichment activities. So, like I said, Maria Hayes is here. She's one of our 4-Hers, and I'm going to let her talk. She's a sophomore at Morgantown High School. She's going to tell you a little bit about her 4-H experience. So, Maria, come on up.
Hi, my name is Maria Hayes. I'm a sophomore at MHS, and this is my 6th year in 4-H. Over the years, I participated in many events and activities in 4-H, including club, camp, projects for the fair, being a teen counselor, and helping with Cloverbud meetings. From these activities, I've gained many skills, including skills in public speaking and leadership. I've had the opportunity to gain leadership skills from being a past president of my club, chief of my tribe at camp, and by being a teen counselor for Cloverbud Camp. As president of my club, I've learned about using parliamentary procedure to facilitate meetings. As chief, I learned how to organize our meetings so that we had everything done for Council Circle, which is our nightly campfire program at camp. Cloverbud Camp is a day camp for the youngest 4-Hers. At day camp, I got to teach the kids games, songs, and teach them all about 4-H and how much it means to me and to everybody else. I got to practice public speaking in all of these activities, and this is also a chance for me to practice these skills. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today about something that I love and that is such a big part of my life.
Thank you. Great job.
Good job, Maria. So Maria's just one of our outstanding 4-Hers, and like she said, she helped at camp. I don't know what we would do without her help at Cloverbud meetings. We have kindergarten through second graders who attend our monthly meetings. Our first one's tomorrow, and usually we have how many, Heather? 50 or 60 attend, so it is like utter chaos, but we have so much fun. I can entertain any questions. If there's anything that we can ever do to serve in any capacity to you, I know Christina is our member of Extension Service Committee, so we'll get her attending meetings so she can come back and report sort of what we do. But we're always here to fill any need that the school system has or any need that you all have. So again, I appreciate your time, appreciate your support. We don't know what we'd do without you all, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As you know, love FFA and 4-H, and what you guys do, Heather and Becca, is phenomenal. So continue to do what you do. We appreciate all the hard work and love seeing the kids and all the things they're involved with. Super important. Thank you, Maria. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next section is he wants to hear you. Our next section is school performance, student outcomes, and academics, and we have a presentation on diversity from Mike Ryan.
Okay. All right. Thanks for having me tonight. Whenever I took my position 5 years ago, one of the things I had the privilege, I felt like at the time, of taking on was creating a diversity, equity, and inclusion plan for our county. It's something that was needed in our county, and something that I'm very passionate about, and I got to having the opportunity to be the lead on that was something I was looking forward to. So it's been 5 years in the making, and coming in, I kind of had a blank canvas to work with, which was exciting, but also it has its challenges too, as you figure out the needs of the county and not having anything to work off of. So with that, one of the first tasks was to create a plan for the county. So, I made sure our mission statement reflected our mission statement of the county, and I think it does. And we really believe that, our last sentence here, we believe that students, families, and staff should be valued for their culturally diverse backgrounds, unique strengths, and diverse abilities. And that's really what I wanted to focus on when I created that. So there were 5 focus areas that I wanted to work with. And I do want to say, with the creation of this plan, there was a lot of consultation with outside people, so I worked with people from different counties throughout the state that had, a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee in place. So Berkeley and Jefferson County, I consulted with them. And at the time, I was consulting with people from WVU on helping to get things up and started, and just some of the focus areas. And these were the things that we were looking at: curriculum, staff recruitment, professional development, student well-being, and community engagement. So I'm going to go through kind of what we have done in each of these areas since then. And I have edited our county plan as we've adapted over the years. I think coming in, in year 1, some of our goals were met, but some of them had to be tweaked too, based off of, kind of things that we were figuring out at the time. So, but within that, every school in our county has school diversity teams. So I have people on those teams, and they all have their school committees. But on those, one of the curriculum things, we wanted to look at the curriculum and making sure we were providing diverse curriculum. So what we do now is making sure there's people that are representatives from either the school committees or my school leads that sit on those curriculum adoption teams to make sure that we're looking at our curriculum from a diverse lens when we do our adoptions. There is a county diversity website, which I am currently reconstructing as coming into this year. some of the needs and some of it. I didn't want to keep it up as I was making changes, but that will be out here later this fall for that. In the last 4 years, the focus to increase the materials and books purchased in our school media centers. Just, diverse authors, diverse reading materials are available for our students to have available. Reading's so important. We always stress the importance of reading, but also having different books that they may not have access to on a regular basis that are there for them if they choose to want to read more, from diverse authors or diverse stories. Each school, I ask each school to submit a yearly action plan based off of our county action plan. So each school, I don't tell each school what they have to do. I don't tell each school that they have to do X, Y, and Z. So based off the school needs and what they see as a need in their school, they create their action plan based off of our county action plans and what their goals are for the year that they're going to work on. And then we also use Second Step. Second Step and School Connect, those are our life skills programs we use. But when we first initially started, I wanted to look at diverse lessons, but within Second Step and School Connect, which we adopted over the last few years, those meet the West Virginia Student Success Standards in those areas, because they're getting lessons on empathy, inclusion, relationship building, communications. So that's our curriculum. And this is kind of just a blank canvas of like their school diversity action plans. It's nothing like real complex, but it's just keeping them accountable for what they're doing in their schools and also letting me know what they're doing. Staff recruitment, this was one of the areas that I was really excited about whenever I came on and took over this position, and as far as diversity, equity, inclusion, and just really how are we, when we talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, it's not just our students in our community, but it's the people that are in our buildings too, and how can we go about attracting diverse people to Morgantown to want to teach in our buildings. So one of the things that we have done is expanding how we recruit and expanding the areas that we recruit for staff. And we have recruitment teams made up of principals, assistant principals, and teachers. We use brochures that really talk up Morgantown about different languages that are spoken, and everything that Morgantown has to offer. With the help of Teresa, we really wanted to showcase what more, Morgantown and everything that it has to offer. So we've attended career fairs at Penn State University, University of Maryland, Howard University, George Mason University, Ohio University, PERC, which is up in Pittsburgh. It's a consortium of all the state colleges and universities in Pennsylvania, and Ohio State University. What we did was we looked at a 4-hour radius around Morgantown, and we looked at the schools in those areas. And then we targeted, Ohio State has a strong special education program. That's always an area of need, so we were targeting that. So not only were we trying to recruit more diverse individuals, but also just staff recruitment in general to get people into Morgantown. And then this past year, we were partnering with WVU and the Teacher Ascend program to help attract teachers from out of state. And this has made a big difference in our ability to recruit teachers to Morgantown and West Virginia, because now there's an incentive through the Teacher Ascend program that can attract teachers from out of state to come move into West Virginia. And they get incentives, relocation. They get a nice recreational package that they can utilize. And they, at the time, until last year, they were taking up to 10, and we had 4, and there was a possibility of a 5th not so long ago. And I'm not sure if that teacher was hired, but through the years, we've hired upwards in the double digits of teachers from these career fairs. And I'm not exactly sure the numbers that are still with us. Some may have moved back, but what we have learned from these attending these career fairs is it's really getting our brand and our image and our name out there. And I think we've seen some of the efforts that we've done over the past few years, especially when we went to Maryland. You know, you're not going to pull hundreds of people from the University of Maryland, but we talked to, you know, 8 to 10 that were really interested in West Virginia, that knew about us. Their friends went to college here, they've been here before, and they were wondering about the opportunities here. Same thing with Penn State, Ohio University, even George Mason. We had a couple that we talked to that were interested in relocating. So that's what we've done with staff recruitment. It's an effort that we will continue to do. We have some different ideas, and I think with the Teacher Ascent program, as long as that program's still an option, I think that's only going to strengthen the work that we do. Professional development. Currently, we have a 4-year plan to have all our teachers in our county trained in the student mental health first aid, which is just an awareness and a recognition that staff members will have for students struggling with mental health or substance abuse. But it's also not just that, but identifying and learning about, you know, people from diverse backgrounds and how it can look different from people from diverse backgrounds. So currently we're over 200 teachers trained, with another 60 being trained in February. We're partnering with WVU, and we can only train so many at a time, and they're working off a grant. And each school has an option of reaching out for professional development based off the needs that they see in their school. So we have done those. They're school-based trainings. So we've done trainings on implicit bias and microaggressions within our schools based off of the needs that are my building point of contacts have seen as a need for their staff. We do yearly diversity trainings through our online essentials. These have been on the influence of unconscious bias in the classroom, engagement with diversity, and this year we'll be doing personal skills for an inclusive classroom. And also with this, it's hard working sometimes with outside agencies coming in and working with their schedules and our schedules, and understanding what we do as a school system when they're don't come from the K-12 public school system. So one of the things I'm working on this year is to provide opportunities for people within my committee and within the school committees to be trained in different professional development trainings, so that we can have in-house people trained to provide trainings to our staff members. I have a lot of people interested in that, and we'll figure out the specific trainings that we want to do, but I think that will allow us to have trainings and not be at the mercy of someone else and their schedule, having our own people trained. There was that. Student well-being. Schools continue to have clubs and find ways to get students from diverse backgrounds to join. That's a focus at the high school of just the clubs that they do, and working with the student leaders of those clubs to get students from all diverse backgrounds to join. Schools and classroom have allowed students and families to come in and speak and educate about their culture. I think that's a big part of it. We have students from so many backgrounds, and just having them have the opportunity to educate their classmates about, a little bit about their heritage. It does a lot for that student's well-being and their confidence and their, feeling accepted into their classroom and by their peers. And middle and high school students have created student diversity committees to help get the student perspective on, kind of things that they would like to see through the diverse lens happen in their school, and plan diverse activities. And then community engagement. We work with different organizations with within our community. WVU is one that we work with a lot of. There's a parent diversity committee that meets 2 times a year to get the parent perspective on our plan and what we're doing. And we do newsletters that go out to our families to showcase what we are doing. We've edited that throughout the time, but it seems like 3 is a good number where we can really showcase instead of a monthly newsletter. And then we also, schools, do a lot of, they have international nights, diversity nights, that they do, and those are open to the school community, but some schools, have opened those up to their feeder school systems too. Questions?
Thank you. Thank you.
Any questions?
Mike, thanks so much for your presentation. I have a question for you.
Yep.
What do you need from us? What do you need from us to make this a successful go? I know that there are a number of community members who are concerned about kind of the gap and how long it took to kind of get this off the ground. And I don't want us to lose momentum. So what do you
Yeah.
need from us?
I understand that too. Like, sometimes, we want to see things quickly too. And I'm always under the assumption, not just with this, but with everything. I want to make sure things that I do are well thought out, and it's not, we're not going at a pace that's too fast too. Because I know, if you try to do too much too fast, then sometimes you can't succeed at that. So, I don't know if I need anything necessarily. I think just, understanding, the process that, that things take time, and I'm not trying to, with, especially like the mental health first aid, I can't, we can't in 1 year train 700 staff members with that, but it's time. There's a plan in place to address a lot of these things. And I think, even getting our own in-house people trained for professional development trainings in the future for our staff is going to go a long way in helping to make sure all of our staff are trained in a timely manner. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, but yeah.
I will say I'm really pleased to see that someone from the diversity committee is sitting on curriculum adoption teams, mainly because there's so many studies done about mainstreaming, and whether we're talking about gender mainstreaming or racial mainstreaming in the textbooks we use, and just being exposed to different cultures, it builds empathy, and that's so very important. And so I'm really glad to see that Mon County Schools is making a commitment to diversity through our curriculum as
Yep,
well.
definitely.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but we did last year or the year before, I don't remember, or maybe both, have this committee maybe meet with community members as well? Is that still happening, or is that separate?
My committee's never met with community members. I meet with like parents, and I do have community members
Okay.
that sit on that committee. Well, they have dual roles. Some of them are like part of the community member, and then eventually their kids came through, and now they're young kids in like kindergarten, first grades. But I meet individually with community members, or that's part of the parent group too.
In the spring, I had somebody specifically say to me that they used to be on this diversity, equity, inclusion committee as a community member, but there hadn't been any meetings for a while. So that's why I was asking.
And sometimes that is just, it's hard to schedule with everyone's different schedules. We had one in January. I'm going to have another one here soon. I have to schedule, what I do when I schedule those, they're at lunchtime, because usually if you're working, you have the same lunch schedule. So I have about 12 people in those committees, and usually I have about 4 people that 4 or 5 that attend. And sometimes that rotates. I'd have a different 4 or 5 next time. I always send out the agenda beforehand, and anyone can, email me or, with questions that they have, and I always bring it up, and then I always share on it.
Send it out to
Them.
community members or this team or
That specific team that are.
this team? The-
12.
No, the parent and community
Okay,
group committee.
got it.
Yep.
Anyone else?
Thank you, Mike.
Mike?
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
And as you know, you always have the support of this board.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. I apologize for being late, everyone. Kick into gear here. Next, we have discussion of, excuse me, or other student expulsion. That's the next one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Board members, we do have a student expulsion this evening. Superintendent recommends that the board approve the student expulsion for 365 days for student number 2-2024-25. for violation of Safe Schools Act.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion, questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Awarding of contracts.
We do have one for your review this evening. This is a contract with, I'll probably butcher the name, George Kuros. Did I get it right?
Yes, you did.
That's why I dumped it to you.
George Kuros agreement. Superintendent recommends that the board approve the agreement as presented in your executive file.
Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Discussion.
I have a question. This contract is again for the training for principals and assistant principals. I'm just curious, are we going to start seeing contracts for teacher professional development as well? Because we seem to be investing a lot of money in this, and I understand that we are investing in our leadership, and that's necessary, and that keynote speakers cost a lot of money. They do. I just want to make sure that we're treating this equitably, and that we're investing in our teachers as well.
Well, I can speak to that. What our professional development surveys have shown is that our teachers, for example, appreciate outside speakers, and we brought them in Behavior Blueprint. We had, again, 400 staff members attend. We had 4 days of professional speakers. We also had numerous internal experts, which is our own staff. And our teachers have preferred not to have a large group session for the most part, except, for example, at the Behavior Blueprint workshop during the summer. They prefer working within their schools with their internal experts. Now, I took that information from 2 years of professional development surveys that we did here. We did not do one last year because, again, I'd already had 2 years of information that said the same thing. But we have a variety of ways that we do try to present for our teachers, and I try to defer to what our teachers are requesting in the way of what they think is going to support them. Now, a lot of support comes their way also through the individuals that we have on staff who are experts in their fields. And we have that at every level, from pre-K through career education, for that matter. So we do employ outside experts, and we do bring them in. And you're right, everyone, it seems like a lot of money to me, and it is, but that's the cost of doing business with all of these individuals that we do bring forward. But I think that we have done a really good job of making sure that we've responded to what the teachers wanted, as well as blending that with the professional expertise of people, such as the 4 individuals that we brought in most recently in June. So we will continue to do that, and it'll be based on, again, what the teachers identify. But right now, the teachers prefer the learning within their PLCs in the school and in and among their peers, frankly. Now, we have also approved several contracts, this board has in the past year, for monies for our what are called the CSI schools. And again, that's state and federal funds that they insist that we bring in and use for, again, letting our teachers have the opportunity to hear the national experts as well. So I think we've approved a lot of contracts in the last year that touch all of the professional categories. And again, I have someone coming in to speak to student services here next week. Now, she's with the university, but again, it has to do with the issue that our student services folks deal a lot with, and that is the anxiety issues that we have. So we get a lot of work from individuals that don't give us a cost and do in-kind types of presentations. So we've had a lot of good luck with that. But yes, I'm always open to whatever the interest or need is from our teaching staff.
Excellent. And I would really encourage making sure that every year we ask our teachers what they
Okay.
want as well, because I think that's so important for them to be able to have a voice as well.
I certainly agree.
Thank you.
Anything else? We have a motion and a second, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Accounts payable addendum. This is where we all get to leave a room at some point in time.
Actually,
Musical
you all don't even
chairs.
have to leave because all 5 of you attended the same event.
Oh, okay.
And all 5 of you are permitted to vote on each of the items. So this is one of the rare occasions where
Yeah.
you get to approve yourself to be paid because you all went, so.
So this is reimbursements for the Charleston
Correct.
training.
Yeah, it's
So the public knows where the,
It's your travel reimbursement
Right.
for the conference in Charleston for the School Board Association.
assuming your recommendation is to pay us.
I will be making that for each of you.
All righty.
I think I probably should do that. Yeah. We'll start with Mr. Barry. Superintendent recommends that Mr. Barry's reimbursement be approved as presented.
Do we hear a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
Superintendent recommends that reimbursement be approved for Vice President Jennifer Haggerty.
Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
Right, next is our president, Mr. Kelly. Superintendent recommends that reimbursement be paid to Michael Kelly.
Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
All right, Dr. Morgan's next. Superintendent recommends that reimbursement be paid to Christina Fattori Morgan.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
All right, last but not least, superintendent recommends that reimbursement be paid for board member Sean Smith.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Next is the consent agenda,
All right.
and I was going to bring up just a typo correction on the UHS TSA trip. The date was listed as March 19th, 2024. It should be the 2025.
2025, yep.
So
yep.
other than that, it was, and Teresa's amazed, and I remembered that, aren't you?
Well, she reminded me, I had a note. so
Okay.
Just in case we knew you wouldn't forget, but just in case something got through there. All right, I do recommend that the consent agenda be approved as presented to include item A, expenditures exceeding $3,000. Item B, the payment of salaries and accounts payable. Item C is the field experiences with that edit. Item D is our contract, our agreement with Milan Park Foundation Incorporated. Item E is our agreement with Reaching New Sites LLC. Item F is our agreement with Varsity Travel. Item G is an agreement with WVU Medicine. Item H are the minutes from your September 24th, 2024 meeting. Item I is the Early Head Start August 2024 report. Item J is the Head Start monthly report for August 2024. Item K is the health and safety screener. Item L is the classroom configuration for pre-K. And item M, bless you,
Thank you.
is the addendum for the pre-K classrooms. And that concludes the list.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any questions, comments? I will say the early head start, that report is something that I want us all to kind of keep in mind, that those are sent to us because Becky Jones needs to tell us that all the time. So we'll make sure we all have that. Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Board member updates. Anybody have any updates?
Just a reminder that October 15th is your last day to register to vote. I know we have a lot of high school seniors who are turning 18. It's an important reminder for them to do their civic duty.
Very good.
Good.
I echo that, Bob.
Good update.
All right. Policies for second reading, adoption, and consent agenda. Adoption, consent agenda.
Right, we'll take these as a group. They are for second reading. I will read the policy number and the title of the policy and what action I will be recommending for the board. So quite a few, so just
Grab
sit
some
back.
popcorn.
Yeah, I probably should have brought some. All right, first is policy 0164, notice of meetings. This is a revised policy. Item B is policy 0165, meetings. This is a new policy. Item C is 0165.1, regular meetings. This policy is for rescission. Item D is 0165.2, special meetings, also to be rescinded. Item E is policy 0165.3, recess. This is to be rescinded. Item F is 0167, voting. This is a revised policy. Next is policy 0168, minutes. This is also revised. Item H is 0169.1, public participation at board meetings. This is revised. Item I is policy 1530.01, evaluation of school leaders. This is revised. Item J is 1613, student supervision and welfare. This policy is revised. Item K is 1662, anti-harassment and violence. This policy is revised. Item L is policy 2230, program of study, early and elementary learning programs, grades pre-K through 5. This policy is revised. Item M is policy 2416, student privacy and parental access to information. This policy is revised. Policy 2430.02, participation in extracurricular activities. This policy is revised. Item O is 2431, interscholastic athletics. There is a technical correction being made in this policy. Item P is 2522, instructional resources inspection and right to file complaint. This policy is being revised. Item Q is policy 3120.14, tutors. This is a new policy. Next is policy 3213, student supervision and welfare by professional staff. This policy is revised. Next is policy 3220, staff evaluation, also revised. Policy 3340, grievance procedure, revised. Policy 3362, anti-harassment and violence. Jennifer, is that revised? Okay. Thank you. Next is policy 3431, personal leave. That is also revised. Next is policy 4120.12, areas of critical need and shortage for substitute bus operators. Again, that's revised, and we do have to do that one annually. It has to be revised annually. Next is policy 4213, student supervision and welfare by service personnel. That is revised. Policy 4340, grievance procedure. That is revised. Policy 4362, anti-harassment and violence. That is revised. We're going to start the alphabet over. This is policy AA 4431, personal leave, revised. Policy 5111, eligibility of resident, non-resident students for enrollment. That is revised. Policy 5113, open enrollment for non-resident students, revised. Policy 5410, promotion, acceleration, placement, and retention. That is revised. Policy 5421, grading. That is revised. Policy 5500, student code of conduct, revised. Policy 5517, anti-harassment and violence, revised. Policy 5600, student discipline, revised. Policy 5610, exclusion from classroom or school bus, suspension, and expulsion of students, revised. Policy 5610.04, suspension of school transportation privileges and exclusion from school bus. There's a technical correction in that policy. Policy 5630, corporal punishment. That policy is being rescinded this evening. Policy 5722, school-sponsored student media. That is revised. Policy 8400, school safety. That is revised. Policy 8402, expected behavior in safe and supportive schools. There's a technical correction in that policy. Policy 8600.04, bus operator certification. That policy is being revised. Policy 8640, transportation for curricular, co-curricular, and extracurricular county-sponsored trips. That policy is being revised. Policy 8670, transportation by limited passenger vehicles. That policy is being revised. I believe the last one we have is policy 8800, religious patriotic ceremonies and observances, and that policy is being revised. Superintendent recommends that the board approve those policies as presented in your content this evening.
I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Do I have a
Second.
Second. Any questions, comments?
Yeah, I had a question about item O, policy 2522, instructional resources inspection and right to file complaint. With part B, and I'll read this for the public's use here. The classroom teacher may require that the parent, custodian, or guardian schedule an appointment in order to inspect the instructional resources. The classroom teacher shall schedule an appointment within 10 business days of the request of the parent, custodian, or guardian. That seems like a pretty big deal. Is there not, should an administrator be involved in that? Like if a parent wanted to come in and say, hey, I want to question I want to look at your resources. I mean, is a teacher on an island here, or does an administrator come in?
I'm certain our administrators are going to be in those meetings. The content, and I believe the language that is in the policy comes straight out of statute.
Okay.
Which does not mention the administrator.
Right.
It does not require that they be a part of the meeting. The requirement is that the teacher participate in the meeting. But I know we've had our conversations with administrators that they'll be there to support our teachers.
Oh, I know they would
Yeah,
be.
in those-
But
in those
what
meetings.
bothered me was it wasn't in the policy. It was not in the policy.
It's not in the language in
And
statute.
if you get a parent that wants to say, hey, listen, I just want to talk to the teacher, I don't need anybody else, we do have the right to say, no, we're going to have an administrator, a guidance counselor.
Jennifer, we would have the right to have an administrator present for
Okay.
any meeting, yeah.
And our own protocols, and we have a subset of our own protocols, which are very explicit and absolutely have a set of steps that people, anyone, a parent or a community member that wants to come in and see the materials, they can certainly examine the materials. We have all of that, but there's also protocols to adhere to here, so that we would never put a teacher in an individual situation.
Thank you.
Like that.
I know my concern was about Part C of that same policy, which reads, as part of the inspection and upon request of the parent, custodian, or guardian, the classroom teacher shall demonstrate how the material relates to the content standards adopted by the West Virginia Board of Education. And I was concerned that a teacher would be put on the spot. So if this is statute and we can't change it, that's one thing. But if there's any way that we could give a teacher time to respond to those questions as well, because I don't think it's fair to be put on the spot.
Again, we do have a process. We've actually used this recently.
Okay.
There's, and there are a number of people involved in that process, and not really the teacher, but that's just the way the code is written. But we
Okay.
do provide that information to the parent through our curricular team.
Administrators always involved, members of the curriculum office from here are involved, because again, it's not one single person's role to have to shoulder that.
Right.
And there's materials are adopted for a reason, and they're adopted as a system-wide. It's not on, the burden is not just on a teacher.
I'm also thinking about a teacher that has a library in their classroom.
Sure.
So that is different from their curriculum.
Sure.
And so I would hate to have a situation where a parent would come in and demand to know why book X is on the shelf.
And we've had that happen. And we have sat there with the teacher, of course, is always involved, and really the teacher's the best resource, but that's sitting there with an administrator and, again, members of the curriculum office here that can sit there and explain that. And every time that has occurred so far, the parent has understood the rationale behind it and accepted, again, what that we proceed. So we're very thorough, I guess, and again, we're making sure the materials that are out there or anything the teacher has, we've reviewed that carefully, and again, can explain the reason for it.
And if you remember, Board, this is just a recent legislative change that's come into play within the last year. And it wasn't this past summer, but it was the following summer that our C&I team spent an entire summer creating the parameters so that we could implement this statute the way that it is. What you see is a reflection of what we have to reflect according to statute. We spent the summer working on, 2 summers ago, we spent working on the implementation of it so that we could prevent some of the things that you were just mentioning. But this is a reflection of the policy that the board is required to have according to the statute that was passed by the legislature.
Okay, thank you.
This is one of those, this is the minimum. We're allowed to do more, but this is what minimum is required.
Okay, and I just had one more question about double D. Is that handed down from the state, the grade weighting?
You're gonna have to, which one was it?
I'm sorry,
B?
double E. Double D, dog.
E is
Double E.
grading.
Double E is the grading.
Yes, that's how that's written.
Oh, I'm sorry, double E. Excuse me, that's my mistake. Double E.
Okay. Any other questions?
Oh, is that county or?
No, that's
state.
That's state?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Guess I gotta live with it.
All righty. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion carries. I do want to mention, too, to the public that all of these policies, we've had them in advance, so it's not like we just are sitting here tonight reading through them also. Be nice if we were that talented, but. All righty, personnel matters.
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive committee or executive session to discuss something in the personnel list.
You want to make the motion, is that what you're
Yes,
asking?
I want to make the motion.
Oh,
Or
okay.
I want to, I don't know how to do that, I suggest.
Yeah, you're good.
Well, that's
Second.
fine. What you just said.
She motioned, you can
Second.
second.
Second, okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. We will take a X amount of minutes, depending on how long it is.
I don't think it should take long.
Okay, we'll go in the other
we'll go
room over
next
there.
door.
Okay, we're back from the executive session where no decisions were made, obviously. So now we can move on with personnel matters.
Okay, I don't have any changes for you to the regular personnel agenda. With that said, Superintendent recommends that the board approve the personnel agenda as presented this evening.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Discussion, questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. New positions?
I do want to request 2 new positions this evening. First is a professional position. This is a teacher, preschool special needs. This is a 200-day full-time contract. This will be at Skyview Elementary School, and this will be a +1 for the county. And in conjunction with that, I'm requesting a new service position. This will be an ECAT 2 for that same pre-K classroom, 200 days full-time. Again, at Skyview, and it'll also be +1 for the county. Superintendent recommends that the board approve those 2 new positions.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Personnel list addendum.
Yes, I don't have any changes to the addendum. Superintendent recommends that the board approve the personnel list addendum as presented this evening.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. I think that's yours. All right. Next board meeting, October 24th, 5 PM. We are adjourned.